Hello and welcome back to the Confidentially Insecure podcast. This is the third guest we're going to have on, so I'll give a little introduction. There have been a number of podcasts that have inspired me to start my own. For example, Diary of a CEO, True Geordie podcast, and Jack Mate's Happy Hour. Not even in my wildest dreams did I imagine I'd get someone on from any of these shows. It's amazing what an Instagram life can do. Ladies and gentlemen, today we welcome an ex-Soccer AM presenter, gone YouTube and social media influencer. He's now a regular on Jack Mate's Happy Hour, not to mention his entrepreneurial talents, starting a number of projects from a production company to a virtual brewery. However, what I was struck by from the start was the sheer number of stories that this man has accumulated. He's lived a life so varied you can never live it twice, and for that reason, it's an absolute honour and a privilege to welcome Robbie Knox to the Confidentially Insecure podcast.
Thank you, Sam. That was a very polite and lovely way to say old. Accumulated lots of stories. No, I love it. Yeah, thank you, man.
Well, I thought I'd big you up a little bit just to get you feeling a little bit more comfortable. So, as You've mentioned, you've got a few more years under the belt than the majority of people we've had on this podcast. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about growing up in I believe, Kent?
Yeah, Isle of Sheppey. It was all right. It was kind of because I'm not right at the tail end of Generation X, and it was sort of like a little bit different in that we. From what I did some reading on this the other day, and I read an article saying that it was the first generation where the mums were out of work, because you go back a generation and it was like just the men worked and the women were sort of housewives. So there wasn't really any sort of system in place to look after children. So like my mum was a teacher, but in the days when we were when she was working but we were off school, we just get like put out, like if you're like 30 or something, you just get locked out in the morning, you just have to roam the streets for a day and stuff. So it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a nice little sort of town, I don't know, suburban-y place to grow up, and there's woods around, and we played football a lot and stuff like that. So yeah, I liked it.
It's funny that you say it, because my mum was also a teacher. My dad always looked after us when she couldn't. So yeah, I guess you moved to university.
Nice.
So it'd be great to hear a bit about that, because this podcast is based around moving to university.
Oh, perfect. Well, yeah. I went to the University of East Anglia in Norwich. I looked at a few different options: Leeds, York, Leicester. UEA was my favourite. I liked that it was a campus university, but in a city. So you've got that sort of slightly safe first place away from home life. But then equally, if that gets a bit too much, you can go into the city and meet new people and stuff like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I had a brilliant time at uni. I think I don't. Some people might have had as good a time at uni as me, but I don't think anyone had a better time at uni than I did. Something. So yeah, I absolutely loved it there.
You studied economics as well, didn't you? Which is
that's correct. Yeah,
economics coincidence. Also, what I'm studying.
Oh well, there you go. You might go on to better things than me with it. Yeah, I did. It was different then, because when I went, you didn't have to pay to go to university, and in fact, because we came from sort of a lower income, we got a grant. I got a grant in my first couple of years, so you always got paid to do it. And then my brothers are 3 years younger than me, and he was like the start of tuition fees essentially. So there was less sort of. I went to university for the experience rather than wanting particularly to go into banking or anything like that sort of thing. So it's different to now. I think I'd probably still go now, but there was less of a sort of pressure to make it financially worthwhile to get a degree. You know what I mean? It was just go to university. Yeah.
And I'm sure you racked up some pretty wild stories from UEA, like all of us do at university. I actually looked around UEA the first time I was applying. And my cousin went, so yeah, we've got some history of that school.
Yeah, I really liked it. Yeah, we had a really good time. It was a really nice sort of friendly place. I think there was a lot of different clubs and societies and things like that. I lived on campus, or pretty much on campus, the University Village, which is like at the edge of campus my first year, and then in the city for second and third year. But yeah, I had a terrific time there, and met friends loads of people that I'm still good friends with now. Mike, who I do the brewery with, I met him at university. Dan Trelford, I've done some YouTube stuff with. I met him. Loads of people that I'm still in touch with. I say my best friends, even now, are people that I met whilst at uni. I loved it.
So you finished uni and then you wound up in Worcester, which seems like quite a weird transition, especially from Norwich to the other side of the world in Canada.
Yeah, so I finished uni in '98, or I was finishing, and I didn't know what to do. I knew I didn't really want to get a job immediately if I could help it. So I thought I'll go traveling for a year, and I went to pick Canada because there was either Canada or Australia the options, but Canada at the time, you could do Australia any time up until the age of 30 for a working holiday visa, but Canada you had to do immediately after finishing uni. So I thought, well, I'll go to Canada, and then if I decide I want to do Australia afterwards, I've still got that option. And so I went to Toronto first of all. I was there for a week. Wasn't that keen on it. I think it was a bit too big a place for me. And then I went over to Vancouver, which was a much more my sort of style. Was there for a few months, then went up to Whistler for a few months, then back to Vancouver for a few months, and then popped down to Mexico for a bit and went home. So yeah, just a gap year sort of thing.
Oh, that sounds like a great trip. I mean, I assume if you've gone all the way to Canada, you must have skied beforehand.
I had skied when I was younger. I hadn't for years. I wasn't good at skiing. I didn't have any intention of skiing before. But then when I moved to Vancouver, I was there and I was having a great time. But I was thinking, do you know what? There's a mountain 2 hours up the road that I could go and live and work in, and I'm never going to get that experience again. So whilst it was great being in Vancouver, I loved being there. I thought it's something a little bit different to do. Go and try that. So I thought, you know what, I'll go and give that a little go and see how that is. So yeah, I got better at skiing then. I'm still not as good at skiing as people would think when I said I lived in a ski resort for years, I think. But yeah, I had a fabulous time up there. It's a great place. You ever been to Canada?
No, I've not been to Canada, but we grew up skiing, so I've skied a lot of Europe. My sister did a ski season. I'm looking forward to hopefully following in her footsteps and doing a ski season probably after university.
Yeah, that is good. That is good. Whereabouts have you skied? Where do you like going?
So yeah, we've skied a lot of Austria. We skied Kitzbühel.
Oh, love it.
And then some France as well, so Val Thorens, Les Menuires, La Plagne. So yeah, quite a lot of the Alps and quite a lot of Switzerland. Yes, I really like my skiing.
It's good. It's a thing that you can do. You see people doing it well into their 70s and stuff. It's something you can do for ages. You can do it with your family. I'd recommend. I think it's got a bit of a reputation as being for posh people a lot of the time or stuff like that, which I'm certainly not. But like if you go to Bulgaria, you can get there pretty cheaply. You can get a week skiing for about £500-600 sort of thing for everything.
Yeah, it's Borovets, isn't it? There's the big ski location in Bulgaria.
Yes, that's where I went with my kids. But genuinely, you could get flights, transfers, accommodation, half board, so all your meals apart from your lunch, lessons, ski pass, equipment hire, everything for I reckon about £600 for a week, and then you've got to pay for your drinks and your lunch on top of that sort of thing. But it's not expensive there, so I think if you're flexible where you go, you can do it relatively cheaply.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. I mean, one thing that I love about skiing is I've had some of the best meals I've ever had just on the side of a mountain that wouldn't be accessible to anybody else if you weren't skiing.
Yeah, that's it. You don't have to be amazing at skiing. If you can get down blue runs, you can get to almost every restaurant in the mountains, sort of thing. So you can go, and yeah, I'm the same. I've just stumbled across a little hut with some friends, gone in there and had this incredible meal in front of a log fire, lovely wine and stuff like that, and stumbled back out into the snow a couple of hours later. And yeah, I think it's a fantastic sport, and people focus too much on the actual skiing of a ski holiday rather than the whole experience. Because even if you don't ski, my wife doesn't ski, but she likes going on ski holidays with us because you're in one of the most beautiful places in the world with great food, great drink, friends, relaxed atmosphere, lovely vibe. Yeah, great.
Then after a long day skiing, you can go on a great night out because everyone loves a bit of après ski.
Yep. Yeah. What's your preferred style of après ski? Are you straight off the slopes? Are you go back out in the evening?
I'm a back out in the evening guy. I mean, get in, get the boots off, chill out for a little bit, and then hit the town afterwards. I don't mind the immediately after skiing, but it's...
you disappeared a bit there. Sorry, say that again.
It feels like you just get stuck out for too long, essentially.
Okay, super.
That's the joys of
yes, no. It is good. It is good. So you were saying you were back out in the evening type person.
Yeah, I'm a back out in the evening guy. It just feels a bit nicer, I guess. I don't know.
You see, I'm a straight off the mountain into a bar overlooking the slopes. That's my dream, on a little terrace there. Spring skiing for me. So mid-March is the ideal. Straight down the mountain, little bar at the bottom of the hill. In there, rest of your group turn up in whenever they're done. If you've all gone your separate ways, and there, and then it depends. Like, I might do that for a couple of hours, then go home, then go back out. Sometimes I'll just stay there for a bit and then have an early-ish night, or sometimes I'll be in a nightclub at 2 a.m. in my ski boots. I find quite often you get given shots if you're still wearing your ski boots at 2 a.m.
I'll have to give that a go next time I'm in the mountains.
Yeah, give it a go. I've had quite often. I've a couple of times at least. I've been in my ski boots at like 1 a.m. in a bar or something like that, and the barman's gone in, man. Just your ski boots, have some shots. Go, yeah, great idea.
Yeah, rude not to.
Exactly. So yes, that's my speech on my love skiing.
Yeah, so I love my skiing. Would you have said that your time living in Whistler was the best period of your life?
I don't know. It's hard to say. They're all good, and all the times are good in different ways. I mean, I loved being up there, but I think there were people who loved it more than I did. There are people who are still there now, living in the mountains. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I had a fantastic time. We'd have these most amazing moments with some great friends again I'm still in touch with now. Whereas I think at uni, there wasn't anyone who enjoyed it more than me. Like, I haven't enjoyed it as much, but I think so. I think uni was very good, but then it's all good. I mean, I like having kids now, sort of thing like that. I think that's a really good time. I like doing happy hour. I like soccer AM. Those are good things in life. I like, yeah.
That's cool. I feel like we're jumping around a bit, and we'll touch on those things a bit later. Firstly, we'll start off with soccer AM. I guess how did you end up with that opportunity?
Okay, so I knew I didn't want to do economics. I wasn't sure what I did, but while I was in at UEA, I did the student radio station Livewire, and I loved that. And I wanted to go into media, probably radio. I think if when I left, my ideal job would be to host the Radio 1 breakfast show. I think if I had to pick something, and so I went to Canada. I came back, and I knew I wanted to get any job in media, but I knew it was quite hard to get jobs and all this sort of stuff. My friend Dan Trelfer had been working at a TV studio as a runner, just like making tea and stuff like that and helping out. And he put me in touch with them. I went for an interview and got the job for that. And I did that for a year. And then again, Tim Lovejoy was the presenter of Soccer AM at the time. Dan was working for his agent by this point, and he said, in your watch Soccer AM, he put me in touch with... Well, he said that he knew that they were looking for someone, and I sent a CV off, went for an interview. They gave the job to someone else. He couldn't start in time, so they gave the job to me, and I went there. So, yeah, basically through my friend Dan Trelfer, I got both of those opportunities.
Well, it sounds like you owe your mate Dan a bit.
Yeah, I think I've repaid it over the years with helping him, I think. But no, Dan is great. Yeah. He works on Taskmaster now, sort of thing. But yeah. He's good.
Wow, look at that. He's even using his air up water bottle.
I am. Look, yeah, not an ad here. Sorry, they've sponsored a couple of our videos and stuff like that. But this is proof that I do actually use it, and I'm not just saying that for money.
He's even saying all the right things too.
I am. I'm committed to the brand. Yes.
And then you end up being quite front and centre on Soccer AM. I wonder how that happened from going from being a runner to then being quite a regular guest on it, a regular host even.
So we did, we were doing, the way it would work was I was in the production team. So to start off, I was doing a lot of the prop stuff and costumes and sorting out various bits for that. But what would happen is we'd have people dressing up as characters on the show, and you'd be asked to do something like, can you dress up and be an old lady or something? So if you did that and didn't mess it up, then next week you might get asked to do something else. Then occasionally you do something, and then it would be good. So we do it again the next week, and then it might become a recurring character or something like that. So that sort of happened. I did a few different bits on there. I did characters called Colonel and Ginger, when I was Ginger, who was an alcoholic, mute, bisexual Air Force pilot. And then I did a thing called Fixtures Man, which was like throwing things up in the air. It was hard to explain now in hindsight. And I did some things myself, interviewing people in the street and that. So yeah, I got called Tramp a lot because I had a beard like I had now and longer hair than I do now. And yeah, it was a really really good time. But I enjoyed doing the bits on camera, but that was never part of the job description. It was just something you end up doing while you're there.
Do you remember the first time you got recognised and how that felt?
Not really. I mean, it would happen occasionally early on, and then later, as I was doing more and more stuff as me, it became to the point where if you went into a pub, someone would come and talk to you every time, because it was that sort of. It's slightly different with happy hour fame now, because I was that age, so the places I was going to were the places where other men in their 20s would be, sort of thing, who watched it, sort of thing. So whereas now I'm not in those sort of bars and clubs a lot of the time. So yeah, I don't remember the first time. I mean, it's not. It happened quite a bit. I don't think it's either good or bad being the sort of fame side of it, sort of thing. I just think it's just a thing that happens, sort of thing, and there's positive and negatives of it.
And now the classic confidential insecure question: how did that transition in your life affect you emotionally?
I don't know. I didn't. It was neither. I neither liked it or didn't like it. There was positives and negatives of it, because generally people were nice to you. It wasn't. It's not like if you're on a controversial thing where people are going to come up and tell you they think you're a cock or something like that, sort of thing. So at the time it was you had to find Soccer AM to watch it. You wouldn't just stumble across it, sort of thing. So you'd have to. People who watched it generally liked it, sort of thing. So it's different. If you're on BBC One, people might turn on BBC One, watch this and go, I hate this. Whereas you had to go and actively seek out a channel on Sky, channel 401 on a Saturday morning. So everyone was nice, but then also it was you're sort of always aware of it. Like if you're when you go into a pub, you can sort of see people looking at you. Not like they're going to attack you or anything like that, but you're sort of aware it's going on. If you're talking to someone, you can sort of see someone talking to their mates out the corner of your eye, sort of thing. So it's just a bit odd, I guess, a bit different. But I didn't have no particular desire to be famous. I wouldn't want to be like really famous, where it does impact your life a lot more, sort of thing. But at the minute, it's if I go to Norwich, someone might come up to me and say hello. It's not a hardship.
So at some stage you left Soccer AM and you went off to set up your own production company, and I'm really interested to see how that transition was and how that felt at the time.
Yeah, so there's a little bit in the middle where we did this thing called Channel B that was so I was basically thinking about leaving because I'd been there for 7 years. It was a great job to have in my 20s, but not the kind of job I'd want to do now, because it is sort of all consuming. You get to can't take any holiday during the football season. Like my skiing was limited to weekends rather than weeks at the time. So it was it was quite exhausting. And I was thinking about leaving, do something different. And then Tim Lovejoy, the presenter and producer, got an opportunity to do something with Simon Fuller's company, who managed the Spice Girls and David Beckham and invented Pop Idol and all these sort of things, American Idol. So we went and did an internet TV thing. And YouTube existed, but it was before there was the job of a YouTuber. YouTubers didn't really exist in the way they do now. People would put things on YouTube, but not like this. It was sort of a really early internet TV thing. And we did that for a couple of years. Eventually that finished. And then I thought, well, I looked around at TV things. I thought, well, I worked on my favourite TV show. I don't really want to go and work on any of the others because I don't like them as much, sort of thing. So I thought I'll just start my own production company and do that. And I did that. Well, I still do that now. I was filming on Friday for a client. And yeah.
Did you ever have any regrets about leaving Soccer AM? Because clearly that must have been quite a huge risk to leave that job to then form your own production company.
No, because it was the right time for me, and I've been thinking about it for a while. And I thought when I left, everything was great. I was glad I left at the time I did, because we were doing so many exciting things at the end. We got to play football at Wembley Stadium. I've been to like 3 Champions League finals in a row. Been to Noel Gallagher's 40th birthday party. There was sort of like we're just doing loads of like really fun things, and I didn't want to go and then my mates were going, "Oh, we're doing this," and I'd have that sort of FOMO of missing out on these sort of things. But so it was a good time when most of us left at the same time to go. Okay, this is good. This is a good time to go. So no, I didn't have any regrets at all. And as I say, it was a brilliant job at the time. But now I wouldn't want to work Saturday mornings. To be honest, I want to hang out with my kids at the weekend.
I'm a huge football fan, so I'm just going to ask, I mean, what Champions League finals did you make it out for?
I'm a Liverpool fan. I went to 2005 in Istanbul, which was special. I went to the Arsenal one in Paris, Arsenal Barcelona, when they lost, and I went to the second Liverpool Milan one in Athens when we lost. So
I mean, Istanbul must have been an absolutely incredible night.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it was one of the best nights of my life. It was mad. I was with John Scales, who used to play for Liverpool. His company had taken us out there, and he was supporting Liverpool, but the other people we were with weren't necessarily Liverpool fans. And even at half time when it was 3-0, I remember saying to John and going, like, if we can just get a goal just half time, it's not over yet. I hadn't given up, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I remember when I think it was Shevchenko took the last penalty, I remember him stepping up and seeing him walk up, and it was like 3/4 of the ground were Liverpool fans, and just hearing the whistling and this, I remember just saying he's going to miss, because there's no way you can block all that out. There's no way. It was so loud, and just a fantastic night. I absolutely loved it, as you'd expect.
I mean, I'm a Saints fan personally, so I don't think I can dream of making a Champions League final anytime soon. I'm going to ask you, but we haven't had our worst season, and I'm going to ask you.
The middle there.
Do you think that Liverpool can win all four cups and titles this year?
Okay, what will we win? I think we will win the FA Cup and one of the other two. I think we'll get a treble of sorts. I think could go massively wrong. Touch wood there. I don't know which one it will be out of the league or the Champions League. But yeah, I think we'll get a couple of trophies. I've got a couple more trophies. Yeah, I think so. That's hope rather than practicalities going. Yeah.
How did you find moving to the production company? And I'm really interested to hear about any of the challenges or lessons that you learned.
Yeah.
In the process of setting up that company and seeing and running it and seeing how that was.
I think with the production company, I don't know what challenges really. At the start, I was thinking I could build up a actual production like a production company and make it into a business, and I had a bit where I was doing it with a friend, and we had a couple of members of staff and an office and all this sort of thing, and it just becomes a hassle because you've got to go to work every day. and if there's people there, you have to have work for them to do, and you can't just go, I'm not going to bother today, I'm going to take a day off. So eventually I sort of thought, Joe, I'm going to make, around this time I had my first child in 2011, and I thought, Joe, what, I'm going to make a business, design a business for my life. So I thought, well, rather than have staff, I'll just use freelancers. I'll work at home where possible when I'm editing, and then I can spend as much time with my daughter and future sons, and do that. And then that was it for a while. I thought, okay, that's good. And I was still thinking, okay, I'm still having to go to quite a lot of shoots. If I start doing other stuff, more creative things, whether that's podcasts or YouTube or whatever like that, I can do more of that at home and have to go out less. This makes me sound like I don't want to go out and do things. I do, but it's have a bit more freedom of what you do and incorporate that in your life. So ever since then, it's been sort of designing a life that suits me, and that's been going for like 10 years now. I've sort of been trying to over almost 10 years, I've been trying to sort of go, let's tailor work to the life I would like to live. And it suits me. It doesn't suit everyone. My wife works for a company and she likes it. She likes the security. She likes having a set amount of money coming to the bank each month and knowing what she's got to do and being part of that structure. But this is what works for me. And
now you've also set up Bin Brewing, and I'd like to know if there are any sort of similarities or differences between running and starting that company as in comparison to the production company.
Yeah, so that's a different thing. So that's so sort of, for people who don't know, that is at the minute, I guess, a virtual brewery, or in that we do not have any premises and stuff like that, but we go and brew beers. So at the minute, we've got a beer called Roll With It coming out, which is, if anyone's interested, you can go to. I'm not plugging. I'm just letting you know. I mean, go to bindaybrewing.com, sign up for the main list, and you can find out how to get that, because that's open for pre-sale at the minute. And that's, so to use that as an example, that is, we've gone to Wild Beer Company, a brilliant brewery down in Somerset, and we've brewed a beer with them, worked together to create a sort of, I think is a fantastic beer to match sausage rolls. The idea is it is the beer to complement sausage rolls. So we work with breweries to do that. What have I learned from that? It's a different sort of thing to doing Dry Lunch, which is my production company, because that's just working to live, whereas this is trying to build something. It's nice doing it with my friend Mike. I guess just, what have I learned? I think I've had stuff reconfirmed, I guess, around if you build something and create stuff, opportunities happen. And I've always kind of believed this from life, but this sort of shown that if you are making content, for want of a better word, putting stuff out there, people will engage with it, and you can help. And I sort of believe in being open about things and saying, I'm not being afraid to say you don't know stuff, because no one knows what they're doing in life. Like, I've got no doubt that when Barack Obama went into the White House, he was like, "What do I do now?" Do you know what I mean? Like, and he's like the president. So I think if you're honest and say, and I'm not saying like, "Oh, I don't know anything. I don't know what a beer is." If you're honest about the limitation of your knowledge, ask questions, and people are happy to explain stuff like that, because no one knows anything.
No one knows anything. Robbie Knox 2022.
Yeah, no one does. You know what I mean? Like, no one. You start any job, and you're like, everyone's got that sort of imposter syndrome thing a lot of the time. Like, I don't know how things work. You have an idea, but you never know.
I mean, exactly. I certainly didn't know how to even host a podcast when I started this.
And what have you learned from doing it? Yeah, what have you learned from doing this?
That's a really good question. I think what I've learned from starting Confidentially Insecure is just putting yourself in difficult situations and making it feel a bit awkward for yourself, because I was really nervous to have you on. And then last night I went out for a few beers with my good mate and former guest Ryan Willamy, and I stumbled back and I felt a bit better about it.
That's my boy, Sam. That's the spirit. I think, but that's it. It's there. I mean, with podcasts in particular, there are a huge amount of podcasts that start, and there's not that many that have 10 episodes. I mean, people do it for a little bit, and I'll get people messaging me about YouTube or something like that and saying, I've got my YouTube channel and it's not growing, and I'll look, and they've done like 4 videos or something like that over the last 6 months, and they go, you got to keep going. Bambino Becky, a YouTuber, she was going for 7-8 years or something before she got the sort of level of success she's got now. Jack, for ages, was just making videos at school, and his classes were taking the piss out of him until he got a check from YouTube one day, and then everyone's suddenly interested in it. If it's something that you want, I don't know what your aims are for this, but for people who are making creative things, if it's something you want to do for a job or for work and all this, then you've got to sort of go, it's going to take a while to do, sort of thing, and commit it. So I think if people do stuff, keep asking people, keep going, and don't stop, then you've got a much higher chance of it turning into whatever you want, or having the adventures that you want.
Exactly. One of my favourite books, and a book that's really changed the way I've looked at it, especially the past few years, has been The Slight Edge, which talks about basically the power of compound interest, and it uses the gym as an example, where if you stay consistent, then you don't really have to be as intense as you would otherwise. It hasn't really worked for me because I'm neither consistent nor intense. So
it is, yeah, and I think it's like you mentioned the gym. There are people who are really consistent with going to the gym who aren't in other parts of their life, and there are people who are consistent in other parts that aren't that sort of thing. It's like that aren't consistent in the gym or whatever. But I think if you just keep doing things, I mean, you move a mountain one stone at a time, sort of thing. If you just keep plugging away, and that's not to say you don't need some kind of ability, sort of thing like that, because there's some people who pick things that they just aren't good at or aren't the right thing. But there's another thing in deciding when to stop. But like sometimes you can make good things go, do you know what, this isn't working, this business, this project isn't working, let's go and do something else. But I think a lot of the time people will stop before they get to that point.
Yeah, just moving on from consistency, I'd love to know about, I mean, because you seem like quite a busy man. It was very difficult to get this time, and you've got a family.
Still,
and I'd really like to know about the sort of the work-life balance situation.
I'm at the minute, I'm a lot busier than I would like to be. But then I had a pandemic where I wasn't that busy. So it sort of varies a bit. I mean, I think just at the minute, a lot of stuff's coming along at once. So you've got to sort of, I think I'd handle it quite well because I do a lot of stuff here, but also I'll be out. I go out and do happy hour once a week. Generally, I'm going out another day, sort of thing like that. But because of the way I sort of design things, I am at home most of the time. I will at 3:00 today. I'll pick the kids up, and I will maybe do a little bit of work after that, but I won't do that much. I tend to sort of start early and finish early. But yeah, I'm a very much a morning person, so I'll generally be up about 6 in the morning and doing some stuff and try and fit it in that way before my kids are up. But I spend a lot of time with them, and I'm designing a life that helps with that. I'm making a video of my YouTube channel at the minute with a holiday that we got from a company to make a video sort of thing. So we've got a family holiday out of it. I'm making a video while I'm there. They're happy with that. I've sort of explained it to them, do you want to do this? Rather than saying you have to be in this video. So it means you get to combine work with pleasure and so that. So yeah, I think I'm quite good at the work-life balance. I think I probably could say no to a bit more stuff and try and slim down what it is. But it's hard because then when you're quiet, you just sort of fill the gap with other things, don't you? And so yeah, I think I'm doing okay. I'm going to give myself 8 out of 10 at work-life balance.
Well, 8 out of 10 is a pretty good score for work-life balance. You've mentioned that the kids sometimes appear in the videos. If they were to turn around and say, for some reason I don't want to be in it, would that annoy you at all?
Absolutely fine. No, not at all. And I always ask them, do you want to be in this video? Do you want to are you okay if I put this photo up? I'll always sort of check things with them. But if they said I don't like being in these videos, I just take everyone down with them in. Do you know what I mean? It's I know nothing I'm putting up is embarrassing for them, but I don't care if Kitty goes to school and goes, I don't want to be on YouTube or this other. I'll just take them down. It doesn't bother me. And it's the reason like people message me go, would you ever have your kids on happy hour? And I wouldn't, because I don't have control over that. I mean, it's not my thing. I can't go, I want this episode taken down, because it's not my thing. So I'd only put them in things that I've got control of and that they want to do, and then things that there's nothing embarrassing. I'm not putting anything where they're upset. I'm not putting anything where people might make fun of them. It's just generally them being nice kids. And I think it's, as long as you're sort of careful. There's times where I've been, when I did my video to Borovets, first of all, I said, do you want to be in the video? And Otto, my son, went, no. So I went, okay, fine. So I'll do a different sort of video than I would if they were halfway through he decided he wanted to be in it because he likes skiing. But you just sort of tailor it. And as long as you're explaining how it goes. If I do a brand deal video and they're in it, I will give them some money. I will share the money with them and give them sort of things so they understand that I'm not doing, that this isn't something that I'm doing to. I want to understand that it's work and it enables us to do things, and there's a reason for doing it.
Well, that's a cool answer. I'll be honest, I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest, but no, that's cool.
In what way? In what sense? Surprised that?
I'm surprised that you take them down retrospectively. I mean, I'm impressed because they must be making you something.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm going to survive. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they will, because I don't think there's stuff. I don't think there's anything embarrassing in there. But if one of them seriously goes, I don't like that I'm up here on the internet, of course, I'd just take them down. It wouldn't bother me. They're not in that many. I mean, they're in little bits and bobs sort of here and there, but I don't think it will be. It wouldn't bother me.
No, that's cool. I'm really interested now in how you sort of fell into YouTube and whether you found that niche that you found was deliberate or was that something that sort of came naturally.
I I'd never thought of doing YouTube, which is weird because I have all the skills to do YouTube. If you know what I mean, the production background, I was making videos, I got access to great cameras, and I'd done sort of like little podcasty projects and things like that. But in my head, YouTube was a thing for young people, and I would only go on YouTube to um, find out how to do something. If I needed to learn something, or I would use it for that. I wouldn't go in and watch it for entertainment purposes. And I was friends with Jack, and I knew Spencer FC. I knew a few other sort of people in that community. But in my head, it was for younger people. And I was doing some filming with a guy called Will Brazier, who does stuff for Sporf and various other things. And we were filming together at Watford's training ground with Troy Deeney. And he was saying, you should start a YouTube channel. I was like, well, I think I'm probably a little bit old for that. And he said, no. He said, look, I said, I'm not being rude. He said, but he said, I know what it's like being an 18-year-old starting university, because every September there's 10,000 vlogs about being an 18-year-old starting university. He goes, I don't know what it's like being middle-aged, and said in the politest possible sense. So I thought, look, I'll do it for 6 months. I'll do a video a week for 6 months, commit to that. And if I'm enjoying it, I'll carry on. If I'm not, I'll just stop. So I did that. I enjoyed it. I like doing it. People seem to like the videos and have just gone from there and just sort of tried to make things that people seem to like to a degree.
I think you do yourself a massive disservice there. I mean, I'm a huge fan of your videos, and some of which I don't really know much about, and it's so cool to get such a diverse range of videos.
Yeah, I'm trying to do things, again, with this sort of designing my life thing. It would be easier to grow if I did something in a niche, if I did videos about gardening only, or if I did videos only about skiing or whatever, because there will be people who go along, watch a skiing video or two of mine and go, God, this guy's great. They'll subscribe. And then the next week there's a video of me taking out the bins and they'll be like, no, I'm off. Thank you very much. Sort of thing. But I think the difference is that I think the people who are into my YouTube thing in general are people who are into me rather than the subject. So you get a sort of stronger connection with people, I think, if you are building that sort of community rather than just going there because people are watching the videos because of me rather than because they want to learn about this specific thing, essentially. So what it means is I can do things that I'm interested in, and I hopefully won't get bored with it. If I want to do like traveling videos with my kids, I can do that and people will probably be all right with that. If I want to do this something else, people will be okay with that sort of thing, rather than ending up getting sick of something because I don't want to make another gardening video or something.
Okay, so the first big question: if you could have done anything differently in your life, what would it have been and why?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not really a sort of regretty person. I've been listening to some podcasts about talking about regret recently, and I don't know what I'd do differently because it sort of leads you to the place you are now. I mean, there's bits where I could have been a bit more forceful here, or I could have done this slightly differently. But overall, I'm quite happy with how things have gone. I'd probably say to myself, have a bit more conviction in yourself, and when I was younger, sort of thing. Like if I tried to do something and someone gave me a sort of negative reaction to it, I'd be like, okay, this must not be very good. When in the reality, it's just one person's opinion and something like that. And I'd have a bit more faith in myself, I think, would be the thing I'd do differently if I had to pick one thing. Oh,
Hey guys, now this is a great time to bring in our first sponsor of Confidentially Insecure. This is me joking. I don't actually have a sponsor. I just lose the Wi-Fi here for a brief second. It comes back around 39:40. I would try and add it into the video, but it's not seem to be playing games at the moment. And I'm literally about to throw my computer out the window. This has been the hardest editing process I've ever had to do in my life for numerous reasons. So there's going to be a video reacting to the content and just giving you about what's been going on in my life. Just because I want people to feel sorry for me. So yeah, it does come back at about 39:40.
Can you hear me? We're back. Yeah, I could see you at all points there. So I was still. I don't know why I've just been, but I am around. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, mate. That was me losing the internet for a quick second there. I apologise for that. That's just my accommodation. I was meant to say let's go back to happy hour. Let's hear a little bit about that and how you find that.
Happy hour. I went down. I knew Jack. Obviously, I'd done a few little bits with him before. I went down with Tubes. I got Tubes on for him because he just started doing golf stuff, and I said get him on to talk about his life and stuff like that. So I went down with him, and then when I was there, Jack said, "Oh, you should come on at some point." So I went, "Yeah, that'd be fun." So I did that, and that seemed to go quite well. People like that. I went back for another episode here and there. And then we started, after a while, Jack said, look, do you fancy doing this happy half hour episodes where we do a different topic each week? So I started doing that. And then when the Spotify deal happened, there wasn't really a place for the half hour episodes. So I started just being on the main ones because Jordan had left. And then it was just Jack and Stevie for a bit. And then I ended up just staying, really, sort of thing. So it was a gradual process.
Yeah, I guess my question is, have you got any favourite happy hour show that you've done or been a part of?
Yeah, I really liked the dream holiday episode that we did where we were designing a 5 days, a 5-day week of holidays. So on Monday we could go skiing, Tuesday you go to New York City or something like that. Design your own perfect thing. I think that was really good because it was a really good mix of answers from people. Stevie's holiday was dreadful. And so yeah, no, that's probably my favourite episode that I can think of right now. Yeah.
Is there a dream podcast guest you'd like to have on yet, but you haven't had the opportunity to?
I would like Barack Obama or Bruce Springsteen. I think would be fantastic. I really like both of them. I think they'd be excellent interviewees and have a lot of stories and be nice to chat to.
And amazingly, they do a podcast with each
other.
They
do, and do you know what? It's mental that because I just remembered that when I said that then, and I've never actually listened to that podcast, which is idiotic considering it's my dream podcast or thing. So I need to give it a listen and catch up on it. But yeah, that they either of those would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, my mates give me a bit of rap because I'm a massive Springsteen fan. I've got a huge poster of him behind my monitor, and yeah, I've seen him live just in Milan.
I love him. I've been there quite a few times. Some at Glastonbury as well, and I think he's the GOAT for me.
Yeah, as I say, I saw him in Milan, and at the time I were going to the gig, and it was one of the best shows I've ever seen live. But now when I look back on it, I don't really remember the show itself. I remember just sort of just hanging out with my dad and having that cool experience with him where we were both listening to somebody who's influenced us a lot. It's up there one of the best nights of my life when I look back on it.
That's lovely. Well, quite a nice thing to say. Yeah, really good. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's nice to do stuff and have memories and that. That's what I'm trying to do with my kids as much as possible, just to do things. I'd quite like this summer because my wife works a normal job and has limited amounts of holiday. In the summer holidays, I'll be doing a lot of the childcare sort of stuff. So I think I might just take them, go backpacking for a bit around Europe or something, just travel around with them or something like that and do things like that and have little adventures and things like that. I think it's good to just do stuff. I think
the stories and the people that you're with and the people you acquire them with over time is what you remember really, rather than the location.
It is. I think the meaning of life is stories, and I'm thinking about doing a little video about this in a minute because and I've got a lot of stories through Soccer AM, but I don't want people to think that you have to do something like that to get stories, because I went on a road trip with some friends from Boston to New Orleans in America for 3 weeks, and I've got dozens of stories just from that thing of things that happened. Eventually, almost every day something happened because we just went out and did something different and just do stuff. If you're ever bored in life, just do some stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I managed to go out to New Orleans a couple of years ago, and it was a really great trip, and I really enjoyed it. I'd love to go back now that I'm 21, because I think that would be a very different experience, and probably one that I enjoyed slightly more. I don't know, maybe not enjoyed slightly more, but it would just be a different experience, I think, now.
Yeah, definitely different trip then, different sort of trip. Yeah.
I'm going out to the States this summer. I mean, you've got to be careful. Some of America's really weird, but a lot of it is somewhere I'd like to explore more.
But you never know as well, because I was in the deep south of where was I? Deep south. I was probably in, I'm going to say, South Carolina, Virginia, somewhere. Not Virginia. Virginia, maybe Georgia, somewhere down the sort of east coast towards the south, and I we went to some little town to stay. We found a hotel. It was like 9 o'clock at night. We were hungry. We hadn't eaten, and it looked pretty ropey, this place. And it was just off the interstate. We went to this bar, and there was this guy there who looked. There's only two people in this bar. It looked terrifying. This big, huge guy sat at the bar, and we thought this guy's going to be like, he's going to hate us. So that turned out this guy was a lovely gay dude who taught sign language to kids, sort of thing. But in our head, we were going like, this guy's going to be some like proper redneck lunatic. But it can be for the truth. So yeah, I mean, I think you can have. There are obviously a lot of mental people in America, as there is everywhere. But I think you can. There's a wide variety of people of all types.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my mate tells a very touching story about a funeral that he was at, where it was a biker funeral. So these guys were clearly all decked out in their leathers and on their Harleys, and it looked like people you probably wouldn't want to mess with. And I'm sure in a lot of cases they aren't, but in that particular instance they were just like anyone else at a funeral. And it was a nice reminder when he tells me that story that people aren't as scary as they seem.
Heavy metal people are generally always lovely. I mean, people can get sort of intimidated by this. You go download, like they're some of the nicest people ever, sort of thing. It's people do judge things sometimes a bit too easily, I think.
So yeah, it's got to that stage in the show where I've asked you questions for about coming up for 46 minutes now. So if it's all right, I'd like to let you ask a question if you've got one, and if you don't, then that's cool as well.
Yep, I would like to know more about travelling stuff. I'd like to know what's the favourite place that you've ever been, and what's the place you would most like to go in the world. If I may have two questions.
Certainly can, mate. You're not the first person to have two questions.
Phew.
Okay, so I think my favourite place I've ever gone has to be St. Moritz in Switzerland. Firstly, it's a lovely ski resort, and I love my skiing, clearly.
Oh, nice.
But it's also got a lake at the bottom, so I guess sort of when you're suggesting a nice time to go skiing is sort of mid-March, you could ski in the morning, then probably get down for a windsurf in the evening, because I love my windsurfing too. And somewhere I'd like to go is New Zealand, because I've not been to that area of the world yet, and it's got some areas of outstanding natural beauty.
I'd love to go.
And I like being mindful, and locations that are pretty really easy to do that. So yeah, I'm going to say New Zealand, somewhere I'd like to go in the future. To be fair, there are loads of places I'd love to visit, so I could say anywhere really. Not really done enough travelling yet.
Yeah, fabulous.
How about you? Now we're talking about travelling.
Best place. I mean, I love Canada. But that's a boring answer because I lived there, sort of thing. So Vancouver's my favourite city on earth. I think Barcelona's incredible. I went to Costa Rica. That was an amazing country because it's all like a quarter of the country's a national park. It's like just mental animals everywhere, like sloths in the trees and stuff like this, and all these crazy things wherever you go. That was fantastic. I loved Mexico. Brazil was great. I'd like to do more sort of South American traveling. There's just so many great places in the world, aren't there? There's so much to see in so little time.
Exactly. Yeah, South America is another place I'd love to go. I'd love to get a backpack, learn Spanish, and then go travelling down through South America and seeing all those beautiful countries in a completely different way of life. How was Brazil?
Yeah. I mean, I loved Brazil. It was such a great place. I mean, there's an edge to it. You felt a little bit like you could get mugged at any point, but it was a brilliant city. In Rio was it? I was in Rio. I should say that. I know Brazil's not a city.
Exactly, yeah, I can imagine that's true, and the football was incredible in Brazil. Did you go out for the World Cup, or was this a bit before?
It was the year before. I was doing a video for a client who were a World Cup sponsor in Rio.
Oh wow! So it sounds like you get around quite a lot with the
not that much.
Maybe
you would think that's one of only a handful of times I've been abroad, and that was by far the most interesting one. Most of the stuff I do is in the UK. Most of it's in London.
Oh wow, that is a little bit surprising. You ever thought about stopping the production company now that you've got the YouTube and podcast income?
Yeah, I'm doing less and less production stuff. Yes, if the truth of it at the minute is I could probably live off YouTube and podcast stuff if I committed to it. but I can do a few days of the production company a month and live a lot more comfortably, sort of thing like that. So it's a lot better paid doing that. But yeah, certainly I'm doing less and less of the production company stuff and more of the other stuff. And I imagine it will continue to go that way, assuming Happy Hour keeps going and the YouTube stuff keeps growing and things like that.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up shortly. I quite often get a previous guest to just give me a question, and my first guest behind my head gave me this question. I've been looking forward to asking it. If you could change one thing on the news, if you had one thing on the news that everyone believed, what would it be and why?
Oh, God. Wow, do I use this power for good or for evil? Because you got the choice. I just think I would. I think there's a lot of stuff at the minute where everyone's scared of each other, and there's all these. Everyone's arguing, like everyone's. It's all very divisive, and I think a lot of the media is. I'm not like a sort of media conspiracy thing, but a lot of media is designed to sort of scare people, whether it's about immigrants or neighbours or trans people, whatever it is. There's always things about. I think just I'd tell everyone, do you know what? Most people are really nice, and if you go and talk to them, you've got a lot more in common than you would think, sort of thing. And if everyone believed that, I think the world would be a much better place.
Wow, what a philanthropic answer! It's very befitting of yourself, and you've come across incredibly well.
Or I'd tell them that I've got an 18-inch penis. There you go. One or the other.
No. I'd tell everyone that I was incredibly in bed, if I'm honest with you, Robbie.
Yeah, we'll go one of those,
Unfortunately, maybe not the case. Yeah, one of those answers is very good for society, and the other one is very good for ourselves. It's that time where I'm going to ask you my final question. When your time comes and it's the end, what do you want people to say about Robbie Knox? Always finish with this question, and it's inspired from Geordie, and I think it's.
I don't know. I don't really. You mean when I die? When you say my time comes? You mean when I finally become a success? I don't care really. Like. I'll be dead. It doesn't really matter. It'd be quite nice to end it with not everyone cheering and happy, sort of thing. I know. I think. I don't know. I'm not that bothered. Like I'm very much. I'm not religious. I don't particularly believe in any sort of afterlife or anything like that. I think as long as I do stuff now and overall the balance is that I'm good and do good stuff, then I'll be quite happy. I'm not fussed about having some legacy or people thinking I'm a legend after I'm dead.
As I say, Robbie, it's been incredible to have you on. I mentioned it in the introduction, and I've been looking forward to this.
I've had a great time.
So thank you for coming on, mate. And I'd love to have you on the future when this is maybe slightly bigger podcast.
100%.
This has been Confidentially Insecure, an ordinary podcast for the ordinary person that just might have extraordinary results.